All right. Welcome everyone to our discussion with the 2020 Fleet Feet Liberty Mile virtual elite athlete field. Everything is virtual these days, and we wanted to welcome in some athletes that have a vast history and experience with racing the streets of Pittsburgh over their professional running careers. So really looking forward to the discussion. I am joined by Bob Shooer of Fleet Feet Pittsburgh. They are the title sponsor of the Fleet Feet Liberty Mile, and all of us at P3R are just so grateful for Bob and his team and their support and sponsoring this event and picking up the baton a couple of years ago. And it's just been an awesome journey, and we're so grateful for you guys and all the services that you provide to the local running community in Pittsburgh. So Bob, thanks for being here.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Ryan. First of all, I want to show everyone that I'm wearing last year's shirt, the Liberty Mile shirt from 2019. It really is an honor to be part of this, and we're certainly going to miss the in-person version of the Fleet Feet Liberty Mile. Every year, we welcome members of the pro athlete field to our Fleet Feet store here in Pittsburgh, in the South Hills of Pittsburgh. It's been a tradition that has been going on for quite a while. And I really am glad to bring some of our favorite Liberty Mile alums to chat today. We're going to do a few intros, and then we'll launch into our discussion today. So first, we are joined by Stephanie Brown. Hello, Stephanie.
Hi.
Steph was an 8 times NCAA All-American at the University of Arkansas and has been running professionally since she graduated in 2014. I just learned that she's just been engaged, so congratulations.
Thank you.
In fact, the Liberty Mile was the first race that she ran out of college. She has run the Fleet Feet Liberty Mile 4 times now, and most recently finished second in 2018. Stephanie, thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, Steph, I remember that year very well. You were still wearing your Razorback jersey, if I recall, in that race, but that was
No, I wasn't. That was the first time I raced in bikini bottoms. I wore the Razorback warm-up, though.
Okay,
yeah.
That's what I remember. That's what I remember. There's definitely a picture of that somewhere.
Yeah, we have some good memories.
We have.
Like little kids.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so next I get to introduce 2-time Fleet Feet Liberty Mile champion Emily Lapari, live from her lake house in upstate New York right now. Emily won this event in 2017, and she is our defending champion. She won again last year in 2019. She's also run the race 4 times, and we are just waiting to get you back, Emily, to Pittsburgh on the correct side of Pennsylvania. I know you went to college in Villanova, but everyone knows Pittsburgh. What do they say?
I won't tell
Left
my
coast is the best coast. So yeah, Emily was an indoor mile champion at Villanova, 11-time All-American, all that good stuff. Emily, thanks for taking the time to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And finally, we welcome Heather Kampf, the queen of the road mile. We consider her the queen of Fleet Feet Pittsburgh also. She's been here many, many times over the years. And has visited with customers and staff here in that regard. As a matter of fact, I used to set up in the old days when we'd have the elite pro field or pro athletes come to the store. I used to set up a table, and we'd have name cards by each person. 3 people would sit at a table, and then customers would come in, they'd line up, and the elites would give autographs and talk to the customers. And then one year, many years ago, Heather was here, and Heather was sitting at the table, and at some point she said, "I'm not doing this anymore." So she got up and she went behind the cash wrap and helped bag shoes and merchandise. Then she went over to the table and was giving out race bibs to people. And that was the last time we ever set up a table here. So we never have a table where the elites sit around anymore. So thank you for that change, Heather. We really appreciate it.
I'm comfortable working in run specialty, so that felt more natural to me.
Heather is a 4-time Fleet Feet Liberty Mile champion and has only missed one race in our 8-year history. Pittsburgh is Heather's second running community, and it would feel really, really strange to have this race without her, and it would be strange to have this discussion without Heather. So Heather, thank you for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you. It's fun to have a little reunion. We miss everybody.
Right?
Yeah, the reunion is great. It's definitely, I mean, maybe I'm a little bit biased because it was the first race that I got to work back in the start of my career, but there's just something special about this one. It's a Friday night in downtown Pittsburgh. We shut down two of the most main streets of the city. We get a lot of horn honks, but we do get a lot of love from the running community as well. So let's get started with our discussion. Basically, we're just going to ask the same question to everybody, and then we'll just go around and let's just have a good time. And then at the end, we are going to play a little game. So, and the athletes don't know what the game is. I just told them to get paper. So it should be a good time. So between the three of you, there's 15 years of Liberty Mile experience. And I know I kind of just hinted at some of my favorite things about the event, but I would be curious to know, in your experience with the Liberty Mile, what's one piece of it that keeps you coming back year over year? And we'll start with Heather and then go to Emily and then to Steph.
Oh gosh, that's really hard for me to just say like one favorite thing because I have been here a lot. But I think that one of the big things that makes me feel so invested in the community and so connected with Pittsburgh is coming early and doing all the kids events and the days leading up to the race. So I just remember like going and like talking about nutrition and stuff and like getting snacks with one group and then playing games at FIED class and stuff like that. And those kids are the ones who are coming out and then running their Kids of Steel race later. So they're out at the race, they like have your big heads and they're cheering, and like some of them you don't recognize. And like it's so exciting when we're warming up and we're like trying to get game face and focus and everything, when they're like, Heather, hi, and you just like have to come over and give them like high fives and stuff like that. So yeah, it's really fun to be part of that like wave of inspiring like young people to get into the running community and like learn that it can be accessible to shorter distances like the mile. It doesn't have to be like a long marathon or something like that.
Yeah.
Kind of similar to Heather, where I think it's kind of like a tough question to answer in the sense because I think there's so many really wonderful things that keep me coming back. We go to so many races throughout the year in so many different locations, countries, just even or states across the U.S. and there's not many communities like the Pittsburgh running community, and you're out on the street and people get really excited about the race. And I think like everybody organizing it does a really fabulous job, and like you guys we don't even have to think when we're there, which is really nice. You kind of like tell us where to go, you walk us where to go, and for me it's every time, no matter like how rough a season's been or if I'm coming off an injury, I'm always able to find a little magic down the street of Pittsburgh for some reason. And I don't know what it is, but I love it so much. And I know so many people from Pittsburgh, and I love all those people. So I think it's just a quality group of people, quality group of fans. And it's just chill because it's after USA's as well. So it's kind of fun to like switch from the track to the roads, just have it like less pressure and you race without time. And I think it's a really fun way to keep the summer season going.
Yeah.
Yeah, so kind of just to piggyback off everyone else, it's hard to just say one thing, but I really love that the whole community is involved in running a mile together, and that we're also kind of a team of pros. So everyone does their race, and we're all talking about how fast did, Lauren Johnson's puppy run this year, and all sorts of different things, and seeing the other runners sprinting down the roads of Pittsburgh before us is really encouraging, and it feels like we're one big group, especially for the pros. I think my first pro race was at Liberty, and I think that was when I realized that the pros we're kind of all friends until that 4 minutes and 30 seconds, and we warm up together and kind of really unite. So I like that Pittsburgh and the road mile really encourages us to be friends and to have that relationship, that it's not all bad and pitted against each other. So I really enjoy that.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, that's actually something we hear from observers, that the camaraderie amongst the pros and the elites is really something. People are surprised when they see that, and it is really cool. So all of us were looking forward to welcoming you back to Pittsburgh this week. And with everything going on in the world right now, what are you three doing to stay motivated in your training for when in-person racing does resume again? Like, how are you staying motivated, Heather?
Yeah, I think that you're right. This year has just been very interesting for a number of reasons, but I think for me at least, I do have a couple of races kind of coming up now, and that's been super helpful that there's like something on the calendar. So when I'm like finishing that last repeat of a workout, I'm visualizing, the last quarter of a race or something like that. But throughout this whole time, for me, it's been a little bit of a blessing in disguise because I come off a couple years of injury, and this is the first year that I've been like consistently healthy all year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of just like a year for me to like really build up strength again and feel like I'm building momentum to the 2021 Olympic year we're now having instead. So I'm trying to think of it as just like a kind of a gap year, or like a blessing that we can just like continue to get strong and train and just like really focus on all the things that maybe you don't necessarily get to focus on as much when you're traveling and competing all the time. So we've done a few time trials and stuff here and there just to keep it exciting, but for the most part, it's just sort of like long-term, like really think about the future and doing things now that will set us up well next year.
That's great.
Yeah, it was kind of hard. Last year in 2019, I had really my first injury ever throughout my whole running career. And I had plantar fasciitis and Achilles tendonitis, and it just like was this cycle of injury that never went away. So I had actually started to gear a little towards the 5K to kind of put my toes in that for the first time. And I was really excited because in February I had run a 5K and it went well, and I was really excited about it. And really getting like the fire was burning under me, getting ready to start 2020. And then, everything happens and it was sad. And, sometime in March, I had some time to mourn it, and then we kind of got past it. Mm-hmm. But in a way, it was a little bit of like a blessing in disguise, because I think it gave me some time to like really focus on a new event and have like another year to maybe like wrap my head around moving up in distance. Mm-hmm. And my team is based out of San Diego, but I live in Washington, D.C., and I was going to be gone the whole year basically in order to train for the Olympic trials. And I just got married in October. So in a way, like COVID actually kind of gave me like more time, like with my husband, which was great, that I wasn't going to get. So instead of like focusing on all my goals on the track, I was really kind of focusing on like some happiness off of it. Mm-hmm. And that just kind of made it like really fun for me to like get out the door and run and just remind me like that it's fun, and like, I'm running workouts and doing stuff that like I haven't really done, or just keep it interesting. But I think the biggest thing is I'm just keeping it really lighthearted and just like backed off the intensity. And honestly, it's been the most fun I've had. And I've had some of the best workouts I've had during quarantine. So it's kind of funny how that works.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the story is injury is what's keeping us going, or reminding us that, we've had those days where we were praying to God to just be jogging again. So for me, that's really in my heart right now, because I had back surgery just a little over a year ago. So it's been kind of crazy because the motivation isn't a struggle. It's hard to stay motivated for me, not because of the quarantine, but when I have those ups and downs coming off this surgery, that's been a more difficult challenge. But I would say that quarantine has given me the time to play around with it and kind of figure out my new body, because you're never the same after something, like after a big injury. So I think just taking my time and slowing down and counting my blessings that I'm even training again, or even able to compete or think about running again. So it's been really great for me, I think, as far as motivation goes, that there's time to just relax and figure out who I am again.
That's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I have these questions written out, but I'm going to switch it up a little bit, because Steph, that just kind of segues really nicely into one of the other things I wanted to talk about was I'm just curious, is there anything specifically that you guys have introduced into either like your daily like life routine or your running routine that maybe you weren't doing before this season of life that you're doing now, and that maybe you would, continue to do, in the future? I think a lot of the runners in our audience would be interested to know about some of those strategies if you have any.
Want me to go first?
Sure.
Okay. I guess just realizing that rehab is forever and not just a certain amount of time. If you have something like rehab and strength as an elite distance runner, or just even an avid distance runner, is super important, especially if you're going to push your body. That's something I have noticed isn't just, okay, it's to get over this time period. It's just a new part of my life. And if I want to succeed, I have to do the little things too on the rehab side and be consistent.
Yeah, I would say I probably have a pretty, because I was trying to think like what has kind of changed a lot and as far as my routine goes, but I would definitely say that it's more of the rehab part too. And I do have to say, like a little bit in March, I was getting a little careless with like not sleeping. Like I was going to bed at like 12 or 1, and then I was more tired, and then I was getting into this like really bad routine. So for me, it was more so just like reminding yourself that like staying on a schedule is important, because I think like during quarantine, like everybody just kind of feels like in this fog or in this cloud. And like as soon as you get off schedule, like you just like feel worse or things are worse. So for me, it just reminded me like how important it is to stay in a routine and in a schedule. And you have days where you stray from it, but when you go like weeks where you're not like keeping up with yourself, I think that was really huge. And I kind of learned that about myself. So I fixed it pretty quickly. But I've also added in like just more like self-love and self-care. And I think it's also helped me a lot. And because we all haven't had access to physios or weight room and strength. And it's kind of interesting that now we're all like super healthy. So, what's the extra thing that we're doing? It's like, oh, we're taking the care at home that we maybe weren't doing because we were relying on other people. So it's just, you kind of think about that a little more too.
Yeah, so true. I would kind of copycat or agree with a lot of those things as well. On top of that, I would say like I've felt like I've had a little bit more time. And I think it's partially because like for a while, like a lot of us weren't even going to like other part-time employment or anything we're doing outside of training. But on top of that, like it's not really like socially acceptable to like hang out with people as much. So then suddenly like the social time that I was having, maybe like a Zoom call with friends or something like that. But yeah, you do have more time to invest in your like self-care. I'm taking more naps. I'm like pre-planning more meals and stuff like that. And then I think like I sort of just keep relating this to like an injury year, because to me it feels like these like a loss of opportunity in some way. But like when my goals in one like avenue of my life are taken away, I'm like definitely setting outside goals or different goals. Like I'm always chasing more pull-ups and longer planks and stuff like that just for funsies, and then like really trying to read up and be just more of like a racial equity ally and everything, especially with everything that's happened in Minneapolis specifically. So it's just like giving me more time to focus on being like a citizen of the world instead of being like solely focused on running.
So in 2015, we were honored to host the Fleet Feet National Conference here in Pittsburgh. So owners of Fleet Feet stores from across the country, principals from the vendor community, and employees of Fleet Feet stores came to Pittsburgh, many for the first time, and all had different comments and about the city of Pittsburgh and things that they were surprised about when they came here. And I'm just wondering if you could tell me something that you were surprised at the first time you came to Pittsburgh to race here, and something you really loved about Pittsburgh.
Oh gosh. I think for me, the memorable thing is like coming through that tunnel, and then all of a sudden it's like, like this beautiful city that's just like right there for you, and how it really is like tucked into this like cool bowl. And like, especially like driving around, visiting from school to school, just seeing like how you've got these big steep hills on every edge, but then there's just the city and bridges and everything through it.
Yeah.
So it definitely is like a very iconic city, and something that, like, I think a lot of people still have that impression of it being like this dirty steel, whatever kind of city, but it's like clean and modern and cool. And you've got all your stadiums kind of lined up against the river there and everything. And I don't know, I was really impressed.
Cool.
Yeah, it's it's so cool because I have like a couple of friends I ran with when I was part of the BAA, and two of them are from Pittsburgh, and they loved it, and they raved about how amazing Pittsburgh is, and everybody should live in Pittsburgh. And I was always like, well, what's the hype about Pittsburgh? Can't be that great. I was over in Philly over there going to school, and like, can't be better than that. And then same thing as Heather, like you come out the tunnel and I'm looking around, I'm like, this is gorgeous. Look at all these bridges, this skyline, it's really clean. So I think it just really blew me away because I kind of like had something in my head that like, and it was totally different than what I thought. And now I love going there. I tell my parents to go visit. I'm telling my friends out of the military, like Pittsburgh's a great city to go to. It's, it's fun.
Very cool.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I really like the bridges, and I think it's so cool that it's beautiful in its own way on each side. So if you're on one side, you get this certain like level of city views and all the stadiums, but then if you're in a stadium looking out, you get the city and the skyline and everything too. So I think it's just kind of cool that I feel like there's skyline both directions.
Yeah.
That's normal.
No, it is. I always tell people, so like when we're driving in Pittsburgh, I think one of the unique things about the city is that it's a triangle. And so that makes the traffic not a lot of fun because there's really like not as much of a grid system,
Right.
but it definitely makes it just so unique. So I know.
And
I
the Pittsburgh
knew you guys would say that about the tunnel. The tunnel. Yeah. It's great. Okay. So my next question is a little bit more specific, and I'm actually going to bring Bob in on this question because I'd be curious to know what Bob's answer would be as well. But Liberty Mile specifically, you know, I think we all love the event dearly. And so is there, you know, and I know Heather and Emily, you guys have won, and Steph, you've been on the podium. And so I know there's a lot of memories to choose from, but is there one thing, one memory of the Liberty Mile that really stands out to you? And we will start with Bob. Yeah, okay.
I guess I'm not sure I'm going to answer it the way you want me to, but
that's okay.
I guess what I like about the Liberty Mile, what resonates with me is it really embodies what we as a store want to embody, and that is community. And it appeals to all abilities, and anyone who is able to run a mile can come down on a Friday night in Pittsburgh. It's usually beautiful weather. A couple of years it hasn't been, but it brings the whole community together. And I think that is what's so important to me about this and why I wanted to be involved in this race, as both a title partner, but also as a person who supported this race, or as an organization who supported the race over the years. It's about community. And you know, while I've got the stage here for a second, I think that we share that value with P3R, because you also are very much dedicated to activity and fitness in the community. And I think it gives us a platform by which we could share that value and really bring people together. So that's why it's so meaningful to me, and why I enjoy sponsoring this event so much and being part of this event.
Yeah, well, you know, we appreciate that. So thanks, Bob. I guess we'll start with Heather. Which of your victories was the most memorable? No, just kidding.
Oh man, I like have three in my head. I won't like tell stories, but I guess like the first year obviously is like just really cool because it's a race we'd never been to before. It was kind of funny because that traffic you were talking about was so bad that we had to end up like carrying our stuff to the start and running out there after we had been told that we would be driven out there. So I was like, oh, what is this race? What's going on? And then it turned out to be amazing and fun. And obviously I've come back since then, so that was funny. But I think the year that it got switched to the Saturday morning, and it was my husband and I's wedding anniversary, And that was like, I think it was after a year that maybe like Gabe had gotten me the year before. So I was like coming back, trying to take the win that year, and got it on our anniversary in Pittsburgh. And then we had the brunch afterwards. And like, you guys got me like champagne and cake and everything to celebrate at the brunch. That was indeed lit. It was just like, that was such a reminder that like I belong to this family of P3R, and you guys like probably would have done that even hadn't I won the race, you know, like I just felt very like a part of the group and special and just like welcomed into the family, and not entirely extra level that was unnecessary but really appreciated.
That was a good memory. Brunch was lit.
I remember that one. I was there for that too, and I thought it was so cute when they wheeled the cake out. I was like, oh, yeah, it was adorable. But yeah, I would actually say for me, one of my most memorable moments was actually last year's win. And that was for a couple of reasons. It was, you know, I'd basically been in the pool for like, I think 3 or 4 months, like attempted to run at USA's, and that was just basically to show up. And then I'd finally put in like maybe 2 or 3 weeks more of like running and training going into this race. And I had no idea what type of shape I was in. I was like, well, I've just got to race, I guess, and just figure it out. And then, you know, coming down the chute, I have a really good friend of mine in Pittsburgh whose mom is like fighting like a really bad battle with cancer right now. And she was kind of like waiting in the chute, like tearing up because like all she wanted to see was me win that race in Pittsburgh. And so I came down the chute and I was tearing up because I saw her, and like I had a rough year, but then when I look at her, I was like, my rough isn't even compared to that. And so she told me that she took a nap in the afternoon so she can come out and watch the race and have the energy to be there. And like, I think it was more so that, and just like seeing something happy happen, I think like made it feel really special. So that moment gets me like a little welled up when I think about it. And that's the one that I'll kind of remember a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Last but not least.
Yeah, favorite Pittsburgh memory. So I don't have any wins, unlike the others, so I can't really share with that. But I'll go with the year that I first ran well, because I ran really bad at Pittsburgh the first 2 years, like horrible. The morning race was bad for me too, because I was coming off West Coast time. But brunch was lit. I have pictures from it, so that was cool. But I really loved the year it was raining. I think 17.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, Ryan, somehow I ended up like giving you my bag and not, I don't know, I had the wrong time. So I was just in a daze and coming off injury, and it was raining and no one really knew what to do. But then I just started maybe like sprinting after the 800, which I didn't even know why I was doing that. I think I got 5th in that race, but it was all pretty close. But afterwards, I think we all cooled down together. I remember, Heather, you were with us, I'm pretty sure. But it poured, like flooded. Yeah. And we all were just soaking mud at the after party. I just thought that was so fun because, I don't know, it just kind of was like, whatever. We just deal with whatever's going on, and we had a great time. And I don't know.
I love that down too.
Yeah, that downpour was crazy. And all the boys were done cooling down because the girls are crazier than them. And we just all were like, no, we got to get our miles in. And just running through it.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely helped make that race too. I mean, I know you said you sprinted 800, but like, I remember watching the video back after that, and it was like, well, Steph strung them out, and I mean, you earned that 5th place. I think after that race, though, you said, I'm going to podium next year, like I'm feeling it, and then you got 2nd. So
yeah, I'm
pretty sure you got your shot.
It takes on the rise. I'm coming after you guys. I want to win.
TikTok, yeah. Next. All right. Well, those are some great memories, and Bob, thanks for sharing yours.
Oh, you're welcome. So I have a question. Since I do own a running store, I'd be remiss if I was not asking, like, what shoes are you guys training in these days?
Well, I'm sponsored by Asics, so I'm running in a lot of Asics shoes. I'm really excited about the Meta Racer that's coming out on August 1st. I was lucky enough to get like a prototype to be training in before then, and it's like, it has a little plate in it, so it's kind of like what everybody's doing nowadays, except it's like thinner and firmer and like really good for mile training stuff when you still want to feel snappy.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put my plug out for that because I really do love the shoe. It's not just shameless advertising.
Great.
I mean, it would be weird if you were talking about a shoe that wasn't Asics. So
It would be weird, but Asics is coming on strong right now, man. They've got some great footwear in the market right now.
Yeah, I'm very happy.
And I'm an Adidas athlete, so I really love the Takumi Zen. That is what I've worn down the streets of Pittsburgh every single time. It's what I wear in all my road miles. I use them on the track. They're kind of like the perfect in-between shoe, like between longer intervals and like doing like really fast stuff. It's like the shoe I wear right before I put on spikes.
Mm-hmm.
And like I also train in a whole slew of different Adidas ones, but that's my favorite one. And I also wear like the Adios, which I use for tempos, and then I use for like longer track intervals. So that's kind of like what I'm wearing right now, since I'm doing like more 1500, like 800 specific stuff at the moment, because DC is like 98 degrees with like 200% humidity right now.
Yes.
So I'm not sponsored, so we can have more fun because I'm training in like all the shoes. But mainly, I'm really liking the Mizuno Wave Riders. I think they're awesome. I don't know, 23 and 24. Not that they have like different uppers. I hate the Wave Knit. It's too like stretchy. It looks cool, but not for, performance purposes. I did like I know I run in the Adios for like workouts, and then also the Zoom flies, but they don't make them anymore, so that's over. But I liked the original, so it's kind of in this like I've just kind of trained in it every once in a while to keep it afloat. But otherwise, I've really actually kind of been struggling to figure out what shoe I want to run in. I liked a certain shoe in Nike, and then that's gone. Vomero's gone. And then I like a shoe in Adidas, and then that's gone. I'm like, okay, like, can I pick a shoe that's going to stick around and actually stay similar? And so it's kind of just been one of those things. I hang out in some of the Brooks shoes too. I like hanging out in glycerins because
that's your hanging out shoe.
Yeah, I'm kicking in those right now, or even the adrenaline sometimes, just to get some support, because when you're on your feet all day, that's something you want halfway through. So yeah,
it sounds like you need to set up an appointment at Fleet Feet Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
figure out exactly what I need. Yeah, I work at a shoe store.
We just got the Rider 24 in today, actually.
Yeah, I had it.
Really, I've been running in the Rider since version 4. And
oh, no way.
Version 13 was fantastic, but this one is really good also. The 24 is really good.
I like it. It's narrow and dense.
Yep.
So
we'll put in a good word for you at Mizuno. So
guys, someone.
It's game time. And since no one knows what we're doing, I think, Bob, I'll introduce the game, and then you can do the first prompt. How's that?
Okay.
All right. So I don't really know what the name for this is, but basically we're just going to do like a little superlative game. So, back in high school, like, most likely to succeed, which is such a broad one. I definitely didn't win that one. Most likely to start a band, things like that. So, but we've got some runner related sort of questions. And so the gist of it is, we'll prompt you, and then you can write yourself if you want, but it'll be just write down one, either Heather, Emily, or Bob and I are not playing, we're Steph. And then write down who you think that most embodies. All right.
Yes.
Just for fun. No winners, no losers.
And please remember, I did not write these questions, okay?
I'm just a little nervous. What are these questions?
Don't expose us
to be arrested.
So there are virtual races all over the place these days. They're a great way to bring people together and form community when we can't get out and be together in large groups. However, there are no timers for these virtual races. Of the three of you, who is most likely to exaggerate their virtual race time a little?
Oh.
Now you see why I kept giving you the caveat that I did not write these.
Well,
Do we name someone who's not here? No.
Yeah.
we should have had you guys do them for the men, because there's definitely some of the guys that.
Oh, I could say like 7 of those.
I know.
They lie all the time.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I was
Was I
gonna
supposed to
say.
go? I knew you were gonna say me, so I was like, I'm gonna say her.
I was slow.
Heather's the tiebreaker.
Oh, yeah.
She said me.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. It's fair. I should have just said myself. You know, I'm like the big, like, crazy person on social media. No one's surprised in that answer. Okay.
That was fun. See,
I
it's
love
fun.
it.
It's harmless. It's harmless fun.
I'm
All
about
right.
to run sub 4. So.
Next question. Next question. All right. So if the three of you lined up for a half marathon tomorrow, who would win? Assuming that you were all healthy and in mile shape.
Oh.
I know. Between Bob and I, definitely Bob.
There's no question.
Ready?
3, 2, 1. Oh, Emily. Emily, why did you
I
say
feel
that?
like Heather.
Wait, what are half marathon PRs? Who's run the fastest?
I feel like
though?
Heather, definitely.
I think I run like 1:17 or 18 in Bermuda one time.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, you did the triple.
But your 5K was so crazy. You have to.
Yeah,
be
I was
so
saying, just her 5K is what's throwing me off. I ran 78:15 in practice this quarantine.
Hey. Oh,
All right, I'm
Is it
saying.
exaggerated?
What?
Is that an exaggerated time?
No, you can check my Strava, homie. Check my Strava.
Emily, have you ever run or timed yourself in a half or no?
I've never timed myself in a half. Like we basically just have done, like do long run and then maybe throw
Right.
like 6-minute miles in somewhere. But yeah, I've never actually run one. So I was like, oh yeah, definitely Heather.
My training right now would reflect that maybe I could run one well because all we've been doing is long progressives lately, but I don't feel like trying one because we also have similar weather to you right now, Emily.
Oh, I'm sure it's the same up there. I feel like Minnesota is just like very
It's either downpour rain or like hot and humid. It's supposed to be like heat index over 100 again this weekend.
Well, a couple
It's
years
real.
from now, when you guys ultimately retire from the track, we can have a retirement party first Sunday in May in Pittsburgh at a half, and we can put your money where your mouth
yeah.
is.
Let's duke it out in that half.
Do it.
Yeah.
All
Should do a
right,
series.
ready? The Liberty Mile is special because it takes place in the evening in the downtown in the city, on the city streets on a Friday evening. The post-race atmosphere is one of celebration, as you all know. In fact, we have free beer vouchers on the race bibs. Ready? Here we go. Of the three of you, who is most likely to collect the most free beer tickets for the post-race party?
Whoops, hold on.
I have a special answer. No, you.
Like Emily answered before the question was even asked.
Yeah, Emily.
Okay. If Emily doesn't know what this means, there's a special punch, not L in the back, but she knows. So
That's our edgy question, I promise.
Oh my
my
god.
times get wasted after the race.
Steph and I have had some good post-race parties.
Sounds that way.
You would celebrate if you ran sub 4 in the mile too.
I
so.
do think so. I mean, and I know you guys do a lot of racing at night, but from like a road race perspective, there's not a lot of road races that are at night. So whenever people are like, oh, like what's like the big thing about the Liberty Mile? I'm like, it's at night. Like when you're done, like the city is your playground, and there's usually
Yeah,
food
it's fun.
specials at the bars, and there's just a cool atmosphere. So, yes, and our post race
Party is always fun.
we always have a good time. Okay, this is the last question. If the three of you were all stranded on a desert island, who would survive the longest? And then give us a reason. This is the last one.
I'm gonna go.
Wow.
Wow. Okay. A three-way tie. Heather, why did you say Emily?
I guess I just like was thinking about when you're talking about going on your big trip for like your honeymoon, and you guys like had all these plans and camping and stuff like that. Like, I almost said myself because I felt like maybe just like body mass. I can live longer, and I'm like, I am like sort of resourceful, but I feel like I just don't have the outdoorsy experience that I had heard you speak of recently.
Didn't you grow up in the city?
Well, yeah, but I married that outdoorsy man, but I wouldn't survive without him. So I don't.
She's stranded alone. I'm the only one that's not like from a city. Okay. Outdoorsy. My fiance is from a farm, so I've been learning even more. So I'm gonna survive the most.
Yeah, I love that. I would feel comfortable, like if I was with both of you guys, I'd be like, I think I would make it, but
Emily's the smallest though, so she doesn't have to feed as much. So maybe, I don't know, that would be the difference.
All right. Well, that was fun, wasn't it? That was harmless.
That was wonderful.
That was harmless.
it wasn't as scary as
I came off, honestly.
Did you guys actually get one of those high school superlatives? Like, did you actually get voted anything?
I surprisingly did, and I didn't think I was going to because I definitely wasn't popular. I was not in the in crowd. But I got, I think, most athletic, maybe. I don't know. I forget what it was, but it was like either athletic or more likely to succeed in athletics. It was like a weird athletic one. I don't know.
Cool.
Did you get one?
Mine was the most likely to succeed too, I think. Yeah. Not
Okay.
in athletics, but just whatever.
Mine was most likely to make the Olympics. So,
But
like,
you guys
everyone got what?
You guys had that one?
Well, yeah, everyone got one though because there was only 70 kids in the grade.
Oh, that's small.
Oh, wow.
They like invent their own for each person.
Pretty much. Like we had like most likely to be the next Slim Shady. So
You didn't win that one?
no, I that was made for someone. So, but yeah,
Funny.
maybe I was second in line for that one.
Well, I hope you guys had fun. Bob and I think we had a good time. This was just an awesome way to, as Steph said earlier this week, it's just a reunion. We're going to miss having you guys in Pittsburgh this Friday. We'll be posting this a little bit later on, but the virtual event is still happening. Bob, do you want to talk quick about the virtual event and how people can, get plugged in on that? I think by the time we post this, and if someone has made it to the end, there still is a little bit of time to
Yep.
sign up.
You could run your virtual mile and then upload your results, and you're going to qualify for a shirt and medal. We're going to eventually, once we're able to do this, we're looking for early August to have like not a packet pickup, but a shirt and medal pickup here at Fleet Feet. We'll set up the tent out in the parking lot, and we'll do some social distancing and give out the medals and the shirts. I just want to say to the three of you how much we appreciate your commitment to this iconic event, and the fact that you do continue to participate in this year after year. It means a lot, obviously, to me as owner of this store, but it means a lot to our community as well. And the three of you, really, you have names in our community, and people know who you are, and it just makes the running community feel so good that you continue to come back here. And it's not like just a one-off and you haven't returned afterwards. And between that and just the dedication that P3R has had to fitness in our community. You could see, I tell this story all the time, you could see a parallel of our business and the way our business has grown with the growth of P3R and the dominance of P3R in the fitness community, in the running community here in Pittsburgh. And it's been such an honor for me to be connected with them as our most significant community partner over the last 9 years, and the three of you also. Thank you so much for your participation.
Yeah, thank you for having us. We love the race. We'll always come back as long as we can.
Good.
Definitely.
There is a Masters.
The bodies will run.
Yeah, sign me up in the Masters category in like 20 years. Or I guess 10. I don't know.
It's coming in hot.
Well, thanks again, everyone, for being part of the discussion today, and hope to see you guys at the 2021 Fleet Feet.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
Bye.